Welcome to Icelandic Formula Offroad. Here we are talking about day 2 at Hella. There were 2 races in the same weekend. On day 1, Haukur Viðar came and was victorious. But on day 2, things might change. 16 cars entered in the unlimited class this weekend. Hella, probably the most iconic race in Iceland. The race has not really changed since the first race in 1973 and has always been a fan favorite. Here we see the celebrations from day 1. Haukur Viðar Einarsson, the winner, Þórður Atli Guðnason in second and Ingi Már Björnsson in third, but they would not take their points with them to day 2. A completely new race that would decide. Now, the first track of the day. As usual, the starting order is drawn at random, and Haukur Viðar Einarsson had to take the charts first. He was leading the championship and has finished in top 3 in the championship for the last 3 seasons. However, he has never won the championship. Hekla has a new KPE custom-built big block Chevy. And without the nitrous, this car is pulling around 1100 horsepower. The stories say it's around 1700 once the nitrous kicks in. Now let's watch Haukur Viðar in the first track. We'll need a big pull here up the first bank. Does it nicely. Managed to get a wheel there through the tires. That's only 20 penalty points, so 330 points for this track. Shots here as Haukur finishes the first track of the day. So the winner from day 1 starting well. Next up in the track is Sævar Benónýsson. Driving Móri is a new driver in a new car. Had some problems on day 1 after a heavy roll, but everything was looking fine at the beginning of day 2. There's a new engine setup that we have not seen in Formula Offroad before in this car. It's a 6.2 liter supercharged Hellcat motor, and here it is pulling. A bit late there on the throttle, but managed to get it done. 330 for him. Now Ingvar Jóhannesson driving the Viking. The first track seems to be a bit easy, but on day 1 the final climbs kept getting worse and worse. We will see the same on day 2. Yep, nicely done. Everybody scoring 330 here in the first runs. Next up, Ólafur Bragi Jónsson. He had a bit of an uncharacteristic performance on day 1. 3-time champ. Looking to redeem himself here on the second day of running at Hella. Up the final climb. That could be 350. Yep, that's 350. Nicely done by Ólafur Bragi. He's taking the lead here. Easy does it. No need to push too hard here. We have Sigurður Ingi driving Yippee. This is 3rd season and he was 5th on day 1. His best ever finish. And this car was called the Sledgehammer. Geir Grímsson drove that for a while. Sigurður Ingi, he saw how Ólafur Bragi did it, decides to do the same, but managed to clip the tire there and got 30 penalty points, 320 for Sigurður. Next up we have Fjölnir Guðmundsson. This is Eva 2.0 and doesn't sound healthy there. The engine, there was some issues with it on day 1. Don't seem to be fixed here in the first track, but here he gets some power, but doesn't manage the climb, only 240. Guðmundur Eliasson getting set up here. This is Rodeo. Guðmundur and his team built this car during the winter. It's the same engine and powertrain as the old one, but a new chassis. They were searching for a low center of gravity, and it should be a bit smaller, a bit lighter and easier to fix. But no fix needed here, 340. Next up, Aron Ingi Svansson. This is the Storm. Him and Sævar that drives Móri. They both live on the same small island in the south of Iceland. and both use Hellcat engines. There seems to be a bit of a Hellcat pandemic in the island. Arniki going for the final climb. He takes a lot of speed here. Does this nicely, but was there something broken there on the rear? The rear tire's not spinning up quite as well as the front tires, but he managed to get it through. Look at that again. Look at how the rear tires sort of delay. Like the diff just didn't quite click right at the beginning. Could be a problem later on. Let's hope not now. Get out, Grimson. We first saw the new Sledgehammer last year. This is the only car that uses independent rear suspension. Let's see if Gate can use that to his advantage. Final climb here. Nicely done. Does clip the tire there. Looked like he might manage to get 350, but 340. Maybe the trick is just to go fast enough and jump over the tire so the judges won't notice you touching it. Next up is Skule Kristjánsson. He had an accident yesterday after a hard hit in the time attack, and he kind of looked like he would not return. Here we can see that. When the car lands, it simply just snaps so hard that he got a lot of back pain. However, after a visit to the hospital, he was cleared to race and was feeling better. However, will the pain have any effect on our current champion? Nothing but a win will do today after a no score on day one. Skule, final climb here. Seems to be taking a bit easy, does not want the big hits, but managed to get a 20 penalty points at 330 for the reigning champion. Next up, Thor Thormo Paulsson, bit of a fan favorite. This is the Raptor. He shared the car with Finnur Albius on day one, but the team decided to only have Thor drive today after all the problems on day one, which cost Thor a chance of victory. Final jump, Thor, he guns it there, a car gets thrown up, he rolls it, no! Somehow he manages to save that! How on earth did that car not roll over? Thor Thormar. Let's see this again here. The rear just kicks, but Thor has done it before, how does that car not roll over? Last year, sorry, 2019, he did this. But it didn't end quite as well then. Now, Jon Arena Andresson. This is Thunderbolt. He's a new driver. He broke his ribs in the first track yesterday, so he needs to take it easy here on day two. He's in a bit of pain here. Might take it easy. Does not go for a big jump. It gets stuck here. That's only 250 points, no penalty points. Now Ingimar Björnsson, the bomb. Third place yesterday after 23 years away from the sport. What can Ingi do on day number two? A veteran of the sport. Easy does it there at the start, but goes for it nicely here, and that's 350. Full house for Ingi here in the first track. Now this is Þórður Atli Guðnason driving the Spade. Second place yesterday, his best ever finish. However, running into troubles here, it seems. There was a transmission fluid leak before the track, which meant he missed his starting place. So that means that he will only get 50% of his points here. Got 350 for length, but 185 penalty points. Nicely done. So, that's the standings after track one. Ólafur Bragi and Ingimar both on 350. Geir 10 points behind, as well as Guðmundur. Haukur Viðar, the winner from the first day, in fifth. Now the second track of the day, Haukur, Sævar and Ingvar will now start at the back after having started in the front in track number one. However, in Hella, it seems to be better to start early. Now Ólafur Bragi Jónsson driving the Fox. It's usually not that bad to start first here in Hella, like at most other events. The second track of the day was a pretty long track, simple here at the beginning, but some roughness that he needs to be clearing. Now left turn here and the final climb. Will he make it all the way up? Big climb here, jump, and that's a nice, perfect score after 2 tracks, 700 points. However, bad news. Oliver broke the 6th vertebrae in his spine in that landing and will most likely be out of action for the rest of the season. We wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully we'll see Oliver very soon back in action. One of the most talented drivers in Formula Offroad. Next up is Svanur Thomasson driving insane. This is Aron Inge's father. He's been competing since 2014 and won the Best in Show award yesterday after a spectacular flip in the first track of the day. There's usually a show around Svanur. What will he do here? Managed to get up pretty late in the throttle, but gets it going. So that's 3:30 for Svanur. Next up, Þórður Atli Guðniason driving the Spade. This is only his 7th race of the career, and he has 2 podiums already. Could he be one of the title contenders this season? 2nd place here on day 1. A strong result on day 2 would put him well in the rankings. Now, for that final jump. Oh, that's something broken. But he gets through the gate, 350. But the car does not look healthy. Will they manage to fix it for the next course? Look at that again. Kind of might just look like a couple of punctures actually. Now Sigurður Ingi Sigurðsson driving Yippee. He sort of was around the top 10 last year, but seems to have taken a step forward this season. Let's follow Sigurður Ingi here for the final climb. Managed to get through, and that should be 350. Pretty simple track here for the first runners. Will it get tougher as we continue? Fjölnir Guðmundsson here driving Eva. Easy does it here at the beginning. No need to pick up any penalty points just by rushing things, but here's the final climb. Gets it up, but the car just seems to... Well, gravity wins there. And of the 2 first track, he hasn't managed to complete one, even though most of the others have. Next up is Guðmundur Eliasson driving rodeo. Guðmundur, Ingvar and Ingimar all come from a small town called Viki Mýrdal. It has a population of 750 people, which means a Formula Offroad car per, well, around every 250 people in town. Must be a record. But Guðmundur not setting any records here in the 2nd track of the day. 250 for him. He reversed too far there, which means that he was out of bounds. Aron Ingi Svansson driving the Storm. There's no Honda Turbo in this car this year. He's only finished on the podium in the Unlimited Class 1s in his career. Can he pick up a podium here in Headlap? As he done through the gate, does not touch any markers, and that's 350 for length. Next up is Geir Evert Grimsson driving the Sledgehammer. He had the win taken from him yesterday with a broken steering. He only finished 6th, but needs to win here to put his championship hopes back on track. Geir Evert definitely gunning for the championship this year. Gets thrown up pretty badly up in the air there, but managed to stick the landing. 10 penalty points, so that's 340 for Geir Evert. Now, let's follow Skúli Kristjánsson through the track, literally. Needs to turn around here, go back down. The drone has to do it as well. No penalty points so far for Skúli. You can sort of see that he's taking it a bit easy though, but what will he do here in the final jump of the day? Final jump of the course. That was some fantastic driving from the reigning champion. Let's see that final climb again. Sometimes speed is not the answer. It usually is, but not always. Skúli. A perfect run from him. Next up, Thor Thormar Paulsson. Speed is always the answer for this man. Car seems to be working properly here. All the suspension, all the wheels, they're at least pointing in the right direction. Even though that big hit in track number 2. And that is another big hit for the Raptor. And this time, the front axles break. Next up, Björn Andersson driving Thunderbolt. He needs to make up some lost points in track number 1. Gets up here, but well, managed to get caught through there. But Björn is missing a little bit of dedication on the throttle. What will he do in the final climb? Managed to get pushed up there. 10 penalty points, which means 340 for length. Next up is Ingi Már Björnsson. This is the bomb. It's not a nice start for Ingi. Haven't really seen any penalty points there up the first climb, but he's got 40 penalty points already. The 1997 world champion, driving the car that Ásmundur Ingjaldsson got a podium in. Ingi manages to roll it here. The car just sits on the rear. Let's see it again. Was not expecting that one. As soon as he goes on the throttle, the front end just gets kicked up, and a nice backflip, simply from the wheel spinning. The track seems to be getting tougher, and as Haukur Viðar Einarsson, our championship leader, takes on the second track, the final climb, definitely getting harder. So starting later in headlock could mean the difference between losing and winning, especially as there are a few traditional tracks here. There's also a lot of time attacks in headlock. The final climb. What can Haukur do? Needs to get up here. Managed to do it very nicely there, and that's 350. No problem for the championship leader. Next up, Simon Benson and Móri. That's not the right way to go. Goes way too far to the left there. Clips the steel. Needs to reverse. Doesn't even get up in the second try. That's only 50 points for Móri. Next up, Ingvar Jónasson. Steering problems yesterday. Seems to be working nicely today. No problems here in the first climb. Might have gotten 10 penalty points there for touching a marker though. Car growling as it waits for the next push, which comes here. Gunning for the final gate, gets thrown up in the air, and that's another roll. 20 penalty points, so that's 210 points. So let's look at the standings after track number 2. Ólafur Bragi, a full house, but he is out of contention with broken vertebra. Haukur Viðar in second, as well as Geir Evert, Aron Ingi and Skúli. They're all tied on points. Now the fans, they have a chance to check out the teams. The service park usually open, so you can see the work. Now bad news for Thor Thormar. The front axle had severe damage to it, and he had to miss the third course. No chance of winning after losing on a course, so Thor Thormar simply has to aim at some solid points if he will manage to get back in the fourth one. Now, third track of the day, this is Sigurður Ingi Sigurðsson driving Yippee. Another easy start to this course. They have a free choice here at the top, and Sigurður goes the straightforward route, it seems. He's hitting some trouble here. There's a bit of a rocky area there. Is he stuck there? Trying to reverse. He's going to get 40 penalty points for reversing, and another 40 penalty points for that marker there. That's 80 penalty points so far. Now, a big final climb. Sigurður Ingi guns for it, gets thrown up there, and that's nicely done. Managed to somehow skip over that to go the full distance, but 100 penalty points could prove very costly. Next up, we have Fjölnir Guðmundsson driving Eva. He's from Akureyri in the north of Iceland, where the final 2 rounds of the season will be held. Has seen the troubles of Sigurður and decides to go a different route there. No problems for Fjölnir so far. Following the tracks of his predecessor, and now for the final pull. Way too slow in there, but somehow managing to get him pulled up here. No, needed more speed there, and he's going to get stuck at the top. He's sponsored by a gasoline company, and it seems like you want to finish all that was in the tank there at the top. Next up, Guðmundur Eliasson driving Rodeo. The first part of the track was simply easy, no troubles for the drivers. Now let's see Guðmundur going here for the final push. Needs to give it all. That's nicely done. The car simply sits down in the correct place, and that's only 20 penalty points for Guðmundur, 330. Next up we have Armin Swansson driving the Storm. Final climb again. Nicely done. That might be without penalties. Yes, it is. Geir Evert driving the Sledgehammer. Low center of gravity might help him here. Doesn't even need to push through the final gate. 20 penalty points. That's 330. Next up, the reigning champion Skúli Kristjánsson. Simba. Final push here. Nice and easy for Skúli. Touched the marker there, but just barely. That's 10 penalty points, so that's 340 for Skúli. Next up, we have Jón Reynir Andrisson driving Thunderbolt. And again, hesitant on the pushes. Lacking a bit of experience there. 240 for him. Now, Ingimar Björnsson. Might this climb start getting tougher, as we have seen in the last courses? Here we have Ingimar Björnsson. Wasn't tough for him, at least. 20 penalty points, 330 for the track. The championship leader, Haukur Viðar. So much power in that car, and he simply skips up. 330 for Haukur. Next up, Sævar Berlisson has had a pretty rough start to his career, but this is nicely done. 40 penalty points. Ingvar Jóhannesson, the Viking, does not take any prisoners. 330 for him. Svanur Thomasson here gets caught off and misses the final gate. That will only be 240. Gets thrown there to the left and does miss the final gate. Now we have Þórður Atli Guðnason. What can the Spade do here? He's stuck inside the gate, didn't he? Yep, gets all the points, but 40 penalty points. Now, after 3 courses, Aron Ingi leads Skúli and Haukur Viðar, Geir Evert and Sigurður Ingi. Those 4 with a decent lead on the rest of the pack. Now, that's it for now. But make sure not to miss the next episode with the legendary river and the swamp. Hella always produces a great show. We will cover it all in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.